Good evening. Hope everyone is well. My name is Proudest, host of the Stoppage Time Penalty Show. Thank you to everyone that's tuning in. Please like, subscribe, do all of the great stuff. Of course, it kind of helps out the channel. So let's go straight into it. The special guest is Coach Barry, founder of Independent. But before we kind of go into that, I would quickly want to go over the results from yesterday's games. So let me quickly go over, and I've got hopefully a few people that are going to come on and literally talk about their games. So let's start with Division 1. Division 1, Glebe 5, Sporting Santos 4, Independent 1, London South Masters. Independent 1, London South Masters 4, Johnson and Phillips 2, Charcoal 6, Leone Stars 0, Long Lane 4, New Park Vets 6, Metro Gas 2, and this is how the table looks right now. LSU Masters 1st, Long Lane 2nd, Charcoal 3rd, Leone Stars 4th, New Park 5th, Glebe 6th, Independent 7th, Sporting Santos 8th, Johnson and Phillips 9th, and Metro Gas 10th. Let's go to Division 2. Hollington 1, Bow Street Runners. Holland Street 3, Bow Street Runners 1, LSU Legends 2, Kawuya 4, Norwood Lakers Vets First 1, Wallenham 2, Parkwood Rangers 0, Catford 4, Seagas 5, Cray Wanderers 1. And this is how the table looks right now. Catford 1st, Seagas 2nd, Kawuya 3rd, Hollington 4th, Wallenham 5th, Bow Street 6th, Parkwood 7th, Norwood Lakers 8th, London Legends 9, and Cray Wanderers 10th. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Let me bring in the first person, or I'd say one of the first influencers in the Masters scene. Big shout out to Ainsley. How you doing, sir?
Yes, Stoppage. What's going on, my brother? You all good?
I'm good. Could you talk about the Catford game yesterday, please?
Yeah, obviously, as you know, you was there. We won 4-1, every 4-1. I'm going mad. We won 4-0, and we started slow at the blocks, and yeah, man, it was just it was one of them scrappy performances. But second half, we took it to them. But the only reason why I'm saying we started slow at the blocks because of the quality we got in the team and the standards that's set. We was in control from the first minute to the last minute, but we just started slow to our normal pace. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a victory, really. Very convicted.
And actually, what are the strengths of Parkwood Rangers?
They're one of them sides that are I wouldn't say they're not a footballing side because they are. They got one or two people that can play football, but they're an ugly side to play against. You know what you're gonna get with them. They're gonna battle. They're gonna put tackles in. As you saw, they was flying around in tackles, and you know what I mean. That's just kind of they play to their strengths, innit? Tall side, good in the air. You know what I mean. So they're just one of them sides that's gonna put themselves about, really.
And yeah, and for Catford, keeping two clean sheets, the kind of midfield and the kind of forward line are kind of gelling well. How excited are you with the team right now?
We started good. Obviously, it's early days, isn't it? But one thing I did say to the players that we got to start better than we did last season, because obviously last season we lost our first 4 games, isn't it? This season we got better that, and we're making them steps. So the team started well, and our centre back pairing, the 2 at the back, absolutely solid. Midfielder doing what they're supposed to be doing, and the strikers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So as a team, I think everyone's just pulling together really and making it work. And the first things first, as a team, we got to be hard to beat. We all know we can play football. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's just about being hard to beat at the same time.
Yeah, and the kind of vet space now, with like social media, with like teams now documenting their like games. How exciting is this era in like Masters football?
You know what? It's good. You know, obviously you're the gatekeeper. I always tell you that, even though you like to play it down and be like, nah, you are the gatekeeper. So, like, obviously, everyone should try and get behind you and support what you're doing, because without you, some people wouldn't know the results. Because a lot of people might not log on to the Southern Vets League and check the results. Some people might just follow on Instagram. You know what I mean? And you're the platform that everyone seems to be watching. Because I see a lot of people at you come on your show. So at the end of the day, we all need to pull together and make it work, because the scene's going. When I was first playing vet football, there was none of this. Do you understand? There was none of this at all. So it's good, man. It's good. It's good. I'm not really into this. I'm not really into the too much banter and the circus part of it, but obviously it's good for results, seeing what other teams are doing, players that sign for other teams and all that. It's good, man. It's good. It's a good look.
And this week or next week, depending on like how like people look on Sunday, we have Seagas at home. And again, Seagas are going to be a very, very tough team.
Yeah, Seagas are a good side, man. They're a good side. They've got some good players in there. They've been in the division, like, obviously for a while. I know a few of their players. They're a good side. They will give us a good game. They always do. Do you get what I'm saying? Obviously, it's going to be our first home game. So looking forward to playing on the carpet. And yeah, it should be a good game. It's going to definitely be a good game.
Yeah. And and it's funny, if I was going to rate like the team performance yesterday, actually, yeah, well, I would say that it felt like we didn't even get out of second gear. Like, it just felt like that, like that. And literally, I think like the team's got a lot, like a lot of gears to kind of get through, and it's going to be scary.
100%. But what it is, and this is what I was saying to someone today who was talking, obviously this as well. I think with most teams, but definitely from our point of view, it's like the better the opposition, I think everyone more raises their game. So I think when we play the so-called teams that we think we should beat on paper, everyone the complacency kicks in. And that's what you're talking about yesterday. We didn't really get out of gear, but we did what we needed to do to get the 3 points. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what I'd say.
100%. Love that. Ainsley, honestly, thank you so much for like coming on and representing Catford. And yeah, I will see you at the game on Saturday.
Yeah, no problem, man. Keep up the good work, Tobias. I'll see you soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice one.
So again, thank you so much to like Ainsley coming on and literally talking about like the Catford game. So I just want to welcome our special guest, Coach Barry, to the show. Coach, how you doing, sir?
Good evening, Tobias.
Good evening.
Yeah, and good evening to all the listeners. Thank you for tuning in.
Wow. Well, this has been a conversation that I've been looking forward to. You are a very, very, very busy man. I'm doing like so much for kind of football on the pitch and also off it. So actually, this has been in the making for a couple of weeks. Actually, a few weeks actually. So let's kind of start right at the beginning. So your kind of childhood, could you kind of talk about how much your like parents or kind of any cousins or siblings influenced you in terms of not only with the football side of it, but just being who you are at this present moment in time?
Influenced me. Grew up in Brixton, went to school in Brixton Hill, Tabriz, went to Richard Atkins School in Brixton Hill, lived on just near Waterlane next to Brixton College, Horsford Road. Then from Horsford Road, moved into Summer Leighton Estate. I'm the youngest. I've got 6 brothers, 3 sisters. The elders are still live in Jamaica. 2 of my brothers never left Jamaica. They've lived in there all their lives. I've got a sister here. I had 3 brothers here, but one of my brothers got killed in an incident in Brixton years ago when I was 15. 18, sorry, when he was 18. I didn't really know my dad. My dad passed away when I was 15 going to school. So he was never influenced. He's never really around me. My mum grew most of us up, 5 of us up together. Didn't have no real influence because my 2 brothers were more don't like football, they're into rugby. My brother's into rugby, sound systems, things like that. My biggest influence was into music. A lot of people didn't know that I did DJing for a bit whilst I was coaching, did concerts, did stuff like that. So the biggest influence for me in football was just, I don't know, it's just, I lived on some let's say, all the boys played football and I got involved. To Breeze, I didn't start playing football till I was 11. 11 years old. Because the dynamics of the family was different from other people's family. So I'm not going to really go into that, but the dynamics of my family was different from a lot of people. Growing up on Somerleyton in the state.
So, growing up in Brixton in like that generation, how like was it? You know, she was, you know, of course, the kind of National Front, you know, very prominent. Literally, how that was a racial tension around Brixton and literally around the surrounding areas.
The racial tension in that area changed once they stopped doing community policing. Because when I was first lived in Brixton, like late 70s, 80s, you knew the police. We had police on the foot patrol, so you knew them. And then it got worse once you had things like police stop and search. Police started to drive around in SPG vans, and then all the racial tension started from there, coming onto your estate, bullying us. When you walk in, they'll just search us, threaten us into the back of the vans, beating us up, things like that. You fit the description. Pair of trainers, pair of jeans, and a jacket. So that's the sort of era I grew up in, with a lot of tension through a lot of different families onto an estate. In a large estate on Somerleyton Estate. You had Somerleyton, you had Stockwell, you had Cowley, you had Five Waves. When I lived on Somerleyton Estate, there was no Southwick house that was even built yet. That was still being built. That's how early I moved up to Somerleyton Estate. The people who are listening and know about Brixton will understand what I'm saying. That's how early I moved on to Somerleyton. It's one of the first families to move on to Somerleyton Estate.
So you could have touched upon your 2 brothers liking rugby. So why didn't you follow suit? And literally, what was that kind of magic, I don't know, I say dust for you to go down the football route?
Because all the best footballers come from these sort of environments. You see, like Somerleyton Estate, Stockwell, I had family in Peckham, and then I grew up with one of my closest friends, a guy called Roger Winters. And he went on to he was playing for Arsenal when he was young, played for England, played for Millwall, went to America. And we've done everything. We played Sunday football together, we played on the estate together. And then more and more boys from our estate were top footballers. Yeah, I was playing with lots of top footballers at a very young age. That's why I improved so quickly. It's because of my surroundings. All we had was we had a school, Hill Mid School was in the middle with a concrete pitch. So I learnt my trade playing there and at a place called Loughborough Park. But all the players me and Roger Winters played with was all older than us. We was playing with big guys. When we're 13, 14, we're playing with guys 20, 21, 19. People can understand what I'm saying, who grew up on the States. So once you got the ball, you had to learn to keep that ball, to enjoy your game. And once you're talented, all the bigger players want you to be on the side. That's how we learned how to play football. And because Roger had such a big name, he's carrying me here, carrying me there. He took me, when he went to Millwall, I went to Millwall. But once again, my family dynamics, got into Millwall, couldn't stay there. Then I went to Southampton. I was never going to make it at Southampton because I never had no support in my football career. I never had no family or anyone supporting me. It was just me, pair of boots, and go for a game of football. And that's how it was.
So was like football almost like your escape from your household? So literally that was
it was football and it was music. Football and music was my escape from all the problems going on at home, all that sort of stuff, what's going on, my brothers and things like that. All my escape was route. My brothers had a massive sound system back in the day. Used to play big competitions. I've been going sound system from I was 10 years old and watching DJs and clashes. Yeah, Saxon and all that. Saxon used to come and I don't know if you know Saxon, Coxon. I lived here. Coxon lived 15 yards from me. Blacker Dread. Yeah, so we all grew up. Dread Diamonds. People who's listening will understand. We know Brixton. Shepherds, Brixton Town, all a thing. You might not know the culture down there, but it was back in the day. It was all sound systems. My brothers was into the sound system, so I followed that. So music and football was always my escape.
Okay. So from the ages of, let's say, 11 to 14, you know, how was your school dynamic, you know, with your peers, with you know, teachers, and did they spot your like talent of like football, or literally was it just with Roger and your peers outside of?
No, I didn't play for the school football team till I was 12 or 13, till they realised I wasn't interested. I was already playing. I was playing Sunday football with Roger. I was playing Sunday football for a team. So me and Roger was playing Sunday football for a very good Sunday team. And then the teacher at PE once saw me playing with there to split the school teams. All the best players played at the top for the school football team. All the ones who were interested just played at the bottom at the kickabout. I was on the kickabout. And so I joined that year. The teacher came in and said, "You go up to the top." And I scored a couple of goals. And from there, my career started with the school. And ended up breaking the school goal scoring record at 14. I scored 49 goals in the season. And it just went on from there, and I started to enjoy it. But my full passion was never playing football. I don't know why. I just played, and then that was it. I went like 100% football. I went football mad, to Breeze, tell you the truth. I went football mad.
And like now you kind of look back when like you was, you know, 13, 14. Can you kind of pinpoint why you wasn't interested in football?
Because as I said before, I was surrounded by music. Everyone in my household was music. And my brothers had sound. I was very much influenced by sound when I got into DJing and things like that. So my main passion was music, trying to get into the music and doing a bit of football. It's only after when I realized, wow, I am good. Because you have this self-realization that you are good at it. I pushed myself on from there.
So you could have mentioned that your like dad passed away when he was 15, and like you also said that, you know, you wasn't close with your dad. I mean, what was your kind of earliest memory? You know, well, do you like have any memories of your dad, and literally how did you feel when you kind of got the news that your dad passed away?
Obviously, it was very traumatic for me because I was trying to get to know my father very well. But my father lived up in the country, he lived up north. He lived up north, I lived in London. But anything I wanted, he was one of those dads, he gave more than actually loved, you understand? So anything I wanted, I'd get, but you didn't really get, I didn't have that connection with him, that love connection with him. So he's giving more than actually seeing him and being with him. I saw him a few times and that was it. So there weren't that really connection there with him. But I knew he would give me anything I wanted, but I needed more than that, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
I needed more than that, especially when you're young and you're seeing other people with their dads and the connection they had. And when you get into football, that's all you see is boys with their dads. And I'm going there, well, I've got a couple of mates with me and that was it. But we get used to it, we grow, come on, we build this wall around us, don't we? So we get used to it.
You also mentioned, you know, quite openly that you would like travel to a lot of these football grounds with literally like your boots, your shirt, and you know, like a couple of mates. And again, you know, please correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it must have been quite an eye opener going to different areas, not really knowing, you know, how to get to certain places and literally performing to your optimum, right? Literally, how did like that kind of come into it?
To Breeze, when you're from the estates, you know how to travel, you know your way around, you know the road. Remember, we're young boys from Summerlake Estate, we know our way. We're going into the West End, we're traveling all over on it. We're used to traveling about. We don't stay, we need to go out. you move out. Yeah, where we need to go, we get there. Yeah, it's not like now where the kids got mummy and daddy driving them everywhere. If you need to get somewhere, you have to go. Yeah,
So
you have to get there and get that. That's how it was. That's what life was like for us. You go into new areas.
So can you like tell me or give me one instance where like you was like pretty kind of conscious of in terms of your surroundings and like you were thinking, you know what, if like something actually kicks off here, you know, something could actually go down?
Well, we played a massive tournament in Erith. Loads of us was playing a knockout tournament in Erith, and we got completely surrounded. We was playing a semi-final against all these there was mainly ex-Millwall youth. Barry Hells can tell you, Barry Hells was there, Roger Williams was there, Michael Morgan was there, and we got completely surrounded. The pitch was completely surrounded. So we're thinking to ourselves, if we win this game, this might kick off here. You understand?
Yeah.
We've gone into Erith Kent. I don't know if you know Erith Kent. And we're thinking, we've got to win. But eventually nothing really happened. It was just all handbags, all mouth, won the game and we went home. So nothing really happened, but it was a very tense atmosphere at the time. So as soon as we won, we just got out of there because we know we're outnumbered, we're not in that area, and everybody knows what Erith's reputation like. So we just won the game and get out of there. But that was the first time I really felt threatened that game of football. Really felt threatened.
And at what age were you?
It was 20s. It was all in our 20s.
Okay.
It was all in our early 20s.
All right. And you've like spoken really highly of like Barry Hells and like also Roger as well. You know, and probably, and again, please kind of correct me. I mean, how did you see their setup in terms of how family supported them, and you know, was it kind of something that you kind of yearned for? Well, I mean, you kind
remember Barry Hells was one of the first footballers I ever coached. He was part of the first team I ever had. It was Barry Hells, Sean Foster, Wayne Armstrong. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember who else was in the team, but all excellent footballers. We won many. We started off as a five-a-side team at Accra. I was managing a five-a-side team, Barry Hells and a few others, and they won everything. Nearly every tournament they won. As you know, Barry Hells went on to be Wayne Armstrong. I think played for a few clubs as well, and then I think he lives in Brighton right now. I'm sure Wayne Armstrong is Brighton. Sean's still around. Everybody knows Sean Foster. He's still around. But we had great memories there. Barry, Wayne, and those sort of players at that age. What people don't understand, back then there was no such thing as like academy.
Yeah.
So these boys were played against the best players. So if you played for Arsenal, you could still play for your local club. If you played for Liverpool or whoever as a kid, you could still play for your local clubs. These boys are just coming together from the estate and playing against these type of players and teams and beating them comfortably. So that's why I said that what people talk about now, they don't remember the past and the recognition you had. And that's what I was trying to explain to you before about Sunday football. When I was a semi-professional, we all played Sundays. Yeah? We were contract players playing Sundays, so the level was way high, way high. Imagine all contract players playing on a Sunday team. You understand? We all played Sunday. So that's why we had that close connection. That's why me and Barry are close till today. Because I've known him from a little kid. I coached him as a little kid all the way through. So the connection is close. Family ties are very close with all of these people. We all grew up together.
Your opportunity at Millwall, you actually said because of how Millwall was at the time, and can also the family.
No, it wasn't because of Millwall. It's because of my family dynamics.
Okay, so because of your family dynamics, why didn't you go further in the kind of Millwall system?
Well, for one, financial reasons. How am I going to get there? Who's going to pay all this money? Can't do it. It's just my mum, 5 of us. My mum with 5 young children in a council estate, a Sumlet estate. How is she going to do that? The people don't recognise. A lot of my life, I waited for my brother. I see a nice jumper, he's got, I want it. You understand? He's got a nice pair of shoes. I said, boy, I'm going to get a wearer for them if he got to Adidas. Yeah, Adidas and Nike was something wow to us. Not like now. It was different back then, to Breeze.
So
I was wearing Woolworth trainers. I don't know if you know, supermarket trainers.
Yeah.
Supermarket football boots.
So did you kind of ever feel that you was fighting for everyone's attention, being the youngest child?
No, not really. No. Because everybody just got on it. My brothers and sisters just got on with their lives. My brother's just running sound systems. My sister was a Rastafarian, she was into that. And everybody was just doing their own thing. We were left literally to do our own things. So most of my life was I have to chart out my career by myself, very individual charting out my career. Whilst mum's trying to keep the family unit together. So it was that kind of lifestyle.
So from Millwall to Southampton, what was the kind of I'd say kind of a year or like month gap between those two clubs?
That was I went to Southampton a few years later. I just jumped on. Southampton was really weird. My friends had a trial at Southampton, and he goes, "Barry, you want to come?" And I goes, "How am I going to get there?" So we bunked the train and went up to Southampton. We bunked the train, got to Southampton, just like that. And the guy just gave us some kit, and we were just in the trial. But he had to roll off and got accepted. And he goes, "Come with me because you want company." And both of us just went up there. And we both done really well. He went back. His family supported him to go back. So he played a few games for them. And I couldn't go. I just went for that day. I just went a day out. Really enjoyed it. And once again, it showed that you could play at that level. I could play at that level. And he goes, "Why didn't you come back?" So a lot of the times I was hiding why I couldn't go football and do certain things. So I said, "No, you got all the best," and I just stayed back. But after that, I got into Accra and the coaching where I found myself. Okay. That's where I really started to find my own identity.
So before we kind of get into like that kind of coaching and like Accra, and I kind of want to go and probably delve a little bit into the sound systems, because you've like talked about music a lot, and literally I've not really kind of gone into it. There must have been a moment where you like must have been at a dance and again you've like said that that's literally where like your brothers really enjoyed the like journey. So becoming so she moving from the sound systems, there like must have been one pivotal moment where he's like, you know what, I have to put the music aside for me to really chase my dream in terms of becoming a professional footballer. Oh, he's gone. Where has Coach Barry gone? This is live, guys. This is just how it is. This is absolutely. Hopefully, you like guys are enjoying this. I've got Jose that kind of came in and said he's looking forward to this, and this is literally on a coach trip away from home for 4 hours. I think Coach Barry is back. Let's get Coach back in.
Apologies, the mic was going, sorry.
Not a problem. Yeah, so they're like, must have been a pivotal moment where you're like, I can either take the music seriously or really, really focus on, my football career. What was that pivotal moment?
The lifestyle. I couldn't keep up with the lifestyle of DJ. It was intense. It was very intense. Going out at night, playing football, going out, DJing, and coming back. I used to play for a team called 10B. Big up Errol Palmer, Tony Davis, and Daddy. Big up all of those guys. Played for 10B. Ian, that's where Ian Wright was. We had so many great. Conrad, God bless his soul, Ian Wright's cousin, fantastic footballer. Herman, Fred, my captain, all the great players. Roger was there as well. Tony Isaacs from Armstrong was there. We had a fantastic, fantastic team. And out of all those players, Ian Wright made it into the pro game. But the joke was we used to go out together on a Saturday night. Yeah, we used to go raving, and because we was going raving, we wouldn't sleep. So we'd bring all our boots and our kit, yeah, and put it in the boot of the car. So many games, I don't know if the manager knew, Errol Palmer and Tony Davis might know now, we'd come back straight from the dance and go straight to the game on a Sunday morning. Because we had so many good players, like, yeah, we can do that. Let's just go out and rave. Ain't worth sleeping 2 hours sleep. And then we'd go straight to the game. So that was the life. And sometimes I'd be going out DJing and playing sound system and then trying to make my way back. And it was getting too much. And I was really enjoying my football, playing with friends and good players. I like the more social side of playing that. I preferred it more than when I played semi-pro. Playing the Sunday with people I knew and enjoyed playing with.
So going back to your Southampton trial and then playing semi-pro, what age did you go to the Southampton trial and then the semi-pro?
I was young. Southampton I was at college. I was about 18.
Okay. And
18. And then I stopped playing football altogether to Greece for like 2 years.
And that coincides with your brother passing away.
Yeah.
And how well, I mean, you know, I know it's a stupid question, but you know, that like must have taken a toll on the family, on yourself.
Yeah, very hard. Yeah, very traumatic.
How literally, how, I mean, it's like, you know, probably something that you still think about to this day.
Obviously, to breathe, because I don't think you understand it. If you lose a family member by natural causes, it's different. But my brother was murdered, so it was very traumatic on the family. He was murdered when I was 15, and it was me and my sister who went to identify the body. So it had a terrible effect on the family. Terrible effect. That's what I said. I keep saying to you, there's lots of stuff I don't really talk about much. So, but that was, you can understand the effect it had on the family.
And so within those 2 years, you kind of didn't play football.
Well, I tried to. I was affected by it, and it took time to get over it. It took the whole family time, because we saw my mother had a slight kind of breakdown, so it was very difficult for us. So that once again, that was just my escape. Playing football and music was my escape. The home life was, the atmosphere had completely changed again. So,
yeah. And did you feel that, you know, but you kind of had to grow up a lot quicker, and you know there was a lot more responsibility to support the, you know, support the household, and kind of also physically and mentally support your mum.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from playing with Tenham-B, and then of course turning 18, when
Tenham-B was after that. Tenham-B
was okay. So Tenham-B was after.
So was after. But when after I started to play for like Dulwich, Carshall, teams like that, to the Mitcham, and then from there moved into, my friend Fred got me into Tenham-B. He took me and Roger Winters and Tony Isaacs over to Tenham-B.
When did you realize that you had to go back into football? After,
I never really left it. I was still playing like small-sided, five-a-side and things like that. Because that was more of a social, where I met up with friends and playing. I could forget everything when I was playing football or playing music. That I just went to a different world. My mind was gone. So it's a way of, it's a lot of escape. Because how do people deal with trauma? That's the biggest thing, isn't it? How do you release that trauma? How do you get rid of it? I'll big up for Frank, because Frank always talks about that, Coach Frank.
Well, I mean, you know, it's, you know, I think I think trauma is always with us. We can move on with our lives and like journeys, but I think trauma is kind of always like a deep rooted emotion that like no one else will ever understand until they go through something similar.
Yeah, but it's how you make it affect you, because it can easily turn into depression, which we spoke about already on the show. How many players and people have depression and are walking around with these anxieties and traumatic, and you won't even realize because they put the mask on when they come outside, but inside they're dying inside. There's no way for them to release it. So it's very difficult. So sometimes you got to change your whole life and the whole way you think, which we spoke about before. But I won't go too deep into that today.
No, I mean, we're having a conversation. No, we can go as deep as we need to. And so where like did the coaching start? And like, did you get into coaching because in the back of your mind you knew you like couldn't get to the heights that you wanted to like get, unless you was coaching just a way just to still be in the footballing community? How did that start?
I was playing I met a man called Derek Accra, came onto Summer at the State, and he was running just 5-a-sides between them. The guys are winning everything, and they said everybody was looking, said this guy's looking for me. And I said, why is he looking for me? You've got a good team and they're winning. So he was looking for me. He said, who's this Barry? He keeps hearing my name. So finally I started to play, we started to win. And then he goes, he's thinking of starting youth team. So he started a youth team. So I got into it totally by accident. He goes, oh, we're short. Take over these boys, start coaching them and bring them to a tournament. And he had the older boys. So took the boys, don't know nothing about coaching, never coached in my life. Yeah, never coached. All I had is a group of 6-7 boys, took them to a tournament and we won it. And I can't remember how we won it, but we won it. All I know, they were very talented boys and we won the tournament. And from there I started to get a little buzz saying, hold on, I'm kind of good at this. This is something I'm enjoying it. You understand? I like organizing them, being in charge, managing them, the little tactics we're using, and looking at players and thinking, he can go there, he can do that. And that's how I sort of got into the coaching. But even though we won, I was still playing football. I wasn't 100% into the coaching. I was still playing whilst I was at Accra. And that was in 1982. And then we formed Accra properly in 1983, where we finally got a constitution and turned it into a proper club. And the council gave us a flat 138 Southwick House. I still remember the address. And from there, we started to build a club.
And how old were you when you took your first coaching session with those 6 lads?
Oh, God. Teenager, still a teenager. I think I was still at college.
So
I was playing and coaching, but I was still playing and coaching. I wasn't 100% into the coaching.
Well, someone must have seen something in you, because again, coaching is also about influence. So like someone must have felt that you had some sort of influence to.
That was Derek. He was like more like he believed I could be a great coach. He just believed because I had the way I could influence and get the boys, like I said before, trust. The boys trusted what I was doing and the way I was speaking to them and the way I got them to play, and they enjoyed the way we played. And that's one thing with football. It's all about coaching. You've got to enjoy it and trust what someone's telling you to do. And does it work? Is this working for me? Am I enjoying it? Are all the boys enjoying it? And that's what you want. Everybody felt a part. That's why we were so successful. If everybody believes in that cause and everybody believes in what you're doing, you can get somewhere. And it was my consistency as well. I'm very consistent when I coach and what I do. So they became consistent with me. Do you understand? They believed in the journey and what we were doing together. It ain't just about me, it's about all of us together as a unit, as one.
So I've got a few comments coming in now. So Jay Sheridan has said, big up Uncle Barry, manners and respect always. JB. And
yeah, bless up, man.
And Nana's come in, said, "Good evening, Coach Barry. Thanks for all the amazing work you've done and still do for grassroots football, especially with young black kids. Much respect and blessings to you, Baza."
Thank you, Nana. Thank you.
I've got a question here, but I'm going to hold back on the questions until later. So again, if anyone's got any questions, please put them in the comments, and then I will try and get back to them later on. So when you formed the constitution at Accra,
after big up, it was a lady we had called Imelda Inyang. She was a Lambeth councillor. She's the one who structured our club together with Derek Accra, myself, Roger Sewell. Do you know Roger Sewell?
No.
The founder of Lambeth All Stars.
Oh, well, I know. I didn't know a second.
Roger.
I know Roger.
Me and Roger were neighbours on Summer Estate. We're next door neighbours.
Okay.
So all of us grew up together. I lived at 4, he lived at 5. So we grew up together from primary school.
So when kind of Accra was like now an official club, you were still playing? You were like, I
was playing, coaching and taking teams at the same time.
So where is that kind of, I'd say that 100% transition into coaching? I want to know that specific time.
That's when I just said, I just got fed up of semi-professional football, fed up of all the politics, all the crap, kept on being in and out of the first team, then reserves, first team. And I just said, no, I'm finished. I'm done. I'm done.
And you've kind of skirted around like the crap and the politics. Can you kind of tell us exactly what that type of politics and? Well,
it still goes in semi-professional football. You could be played in the first team and the manager gets sacked. Every manager walks with his entourage and a group of players. So a new manager will come with 5 or 6 players and bring in more players, and you're going to get dropped straight into the reserves or on the bench. And these players come straight into that first team. Happens all the time. You see in professional football, a new manager comes in. So even if we was doing well or something happened with the manager and he's gone, new manager comes in, bring his crop of players, and but you've got to start proving yourself over and over again. So you have to keep proving yourself. And remember, professional players who come down into semi-professional, they're always going to get the advantage, saying, "Oh, he played pro, he played pro, he played pro." Even though his leg's gone and all he's got is a good mouth and a talk, but he can't move anymore. So that semi-professional is very, can you say nepotism? There's a lot of that in that. It's very much structured that way. And I still see young players now moaning about that, about how well they play. Someone else, if his mate comes in, they're gone. I don't drink with the manager. I don't go out with managers. I don't do all that stuff. I used to go play my game, have a chat with a few mates, and I'm gone. I'm not clubbing and going out with them. So that was a lot going on at football clubs. I think I was treated best at Dulwich. It was my fault at Dulwich, and I was doing so well. I left when I should have stayed.
I've had just floods of comments. So again, shout out to Sean Foster.
That's family. Bless up family, Sean.
Big up my family from 85. Start playing with Accra, Derek and like Barry, and then ZK said respect to you, Coach. Lawrence was coming and said, "Big up, Coach, my first football coach."
Lawrence is one of my captains. He's doing great, man. I think Lawrence is doing a degree now, and he's training with Barnsley up your side.
Oh, amazing.
He was at QPR. Brilliant player, brilliant captain, brilliant player.
Addison has come in and said, "Barry is a very good coach, and I train with him for his team, independent, and is very supportive coach and gives the best advice."
Oh, thank you, Addison. Sharing the love.
You know what? I've got 2 many comments coming in already. I can't read everything, guys, but honestly, thank you. And before we kind of go into your coaching journey at Accra, I just want to, I don't know if you've thought about this, but I've just, I don't know, the pennies dropped for me. I think, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, or I don't know if even if you've thought about this, but I think the reason why you got into coaching was because you wanted to be a father figure to like boys and lads that didn't really have the support like you yearned for from like your father. And also as well, coaching is kind of giving your experience and knowledge back to people that want to listen. And maybe as a young boy, you wasn't listened enough, and literally people just kind of ignored you, and you was doing your own thing. So that's probably how I see why you're such a good coach and why you got into coaching.
Not really, to Breeze, because come on, you know me. You know who I am. And everybody who's putting in the messages who knows me, they know who I am. I help everyone. It's not just football. If I can help and give people advice or whatever, that's just my nature. I've always been like that. Yeah. What I see all around me is people who can help, but they won't help. They'll give you a little bit. I give people the full. Yeah. If I'm going to help you, I help you fully. If I love you, I love you fully. That's just how I am. If I'm coaching with full everything I've got. I'll give you everything I've got when I coach. Yeah. When I go home, I'm tired, I'm drained, I sleep because I give everything else. Because coaching is a lot of mental. So I do a lot of talking, one-on-one talking with players, and I look at the smallest little things in coaching. Yeah. Because I believe that's what really determines top players, is the very small elements of coaching. But I'm always supportive to Breeze. It's not so much about a father figure. I just think I just see too much people what could help but don't help. That's what I see a lot of. So if I can help, I'm going to be helped. I'm very community-based, family-based, and I don't just know the players. I like to know the players and their family and everything. Do you understand? I like to know everything. That's how I get the best out of the player. Because I don't just know the player. I know all the people around him as well. So I'm always pushing them and telling them, this, do that. So it's more than just coaching. There's more to it than just coaching.
And literally that kind of is like connected with like your relationship with your dad, even though like dad gave you all of the kind of material things that were like you wanted or what he thought you wanted. You literally wanted that one-on-one communication, and that's what you're giving to every single player that comes through your club.
I think coaches should be. If you're into someone's life, all right, for instance, you're coaching someone and their whole dreams is to be a footballer, and you said you're coaching them, shouldn't you be giving them everything? Shouldn't you be supporting them the best you can?
Very true.
How many coaches really do support a child the best they can, or someone they're coaching the best they can? How many do? How many just in it like, right, I'm getting £40 an hour, £50 an hour. Yeah? Let me just set out a little session and bam, bam, bam. And then he's gone. Where's the next boy? I see that all the time, to Breeze. I see that all the time. I'm successful because I choose who I want to coach. Yeah? I choose who I want to coach, who I think I can develop. It's a big difference. I select boys. We don't even do trials at Independent. You know that? We don't even do trials.
So before we get to Independent, and
so let's go to Accra. Right?
Honestly, guys, you know what, Barry? I've had just so many comments. I can't read everything out, honestly, but it's just literally like a lot of love. And a few questions as well. Let me kind of read out a few actually, because hey, like this is like a show for the people. George Michael Barry has done some great work with kids in like regards to football. I can relate to the 80s with football.
George, big up George.
Yeah. Jay, I said, big up Coach George. Sorry, big up Coach. Big up Coach and Barry. Independent FC under 11s, best in South.
Jay, that's biased. I love Jay.
And then Eben's come in and said, like, the best football coach I have had, and I've been fortunate to be coached by managers who have won European trophies and former England managers.
Oh, that's Eben. Yeah, Eben's one of my. He's the first independent captain.
Oh wow. Okay.
Fantastic player. Yeah,
Amazing.
I think Eben went to West Brom. Eben went West Brom. Terrific, two-footed, terrific player. Absolutely amazing for his age. You'll meet him anyway. I'm going to make sure you meet him. Humbled Eben, thank you.
And you know, Owen and Jose, I've got your questions. Do not worry, they are kind of locked and loaded.
Is that Owen? Owen, leave me alone. Jose, leave me alone.
That's Owen and like Jose as well. Trust me, I can have your questions locked up. I will go back to them. But let's kind of talk about your like journey with like Accra. Again, you know, I think it's very hard to kind of sum up that in less than 2-3 minutes. But how was that the experience with like Accra?
Different. Just say different. Just say completely different. Accra was just a genius, absolute genius. I know people comment on certain, but a lot of people didn't know the man and how the man gave his whole life to football and the children on the estate. He wasn't just football. He done art. He done music. He was political. We used to go to police station to get kids out of police station wrongly arrested. He was into everything for the children and the youth and the community. He done so much for people. And I said to people, when Accra's gone, all you people are criticizing, who's going to take his place? Yeah? And that's what a lot of people don't know what they've got until it's gone. And when he's gone, he's gone. Yeah? It was one of the hardest decisions for me when I left Accra. I said, it's time for me to move on. That was one of the hardest, because he meant so much to me, do you understand? We went through so much stages together and so much fights and battles. Remember, we're talking about the 80s, where Derek was talking about put teams together and go and enter these big Sunday leagues and that. And we're getting into these Surrey and all those Kent and all these areas. Remember, we're bringing young kids off Summerley and Cowley, Five Ways, Flaxman, all the big rough. We're getting all these boys from Fulton Eve, Junction, Peckham. We're getting all young players coming in, and we're taking them out of the area into the big leagues, the big Surrey leagues, the big Kent leagues, and we're winning to Breeze. Yeah, no one's never done it. I'm talking about teams where we've just got the top. Do you understand? Everyone's got different colour shorts and different colour socks, and we're getting into these people's leagues and we're winning it or just about winning it. I remember once again, you're playing against boys. Yeah, you're playing against teams with boys who play for professional clubs. We're playing against all different boys come together from the States. So it's completely different and we're amazing them. So when we first started, we said, let's target East London. First we dominated South London, then we targeted East London, and then we dominated North London. And we started to dominate those areas, playing like small-sided game, 5-a-side, 7-a-side. Then we went to the 11-a-side, and we started to get our small recognition when we went to leagues. We started to win leagues, and then we started to win London Cups. And that's when we started to get our recognition. The sad thing was, imagine doing so much and Scouts still wasn't picking up the players. Do you understand? You're winning all these with boys, strictly grassroots boys, who have never played organised football, and you're organising them and bigging into these big leagues. And the Scouts are doing this, but still not picking up the players what we're producing. And we're producing players year after year after year, and good teams year after year. Remember, we've got no funding, no funding. We've got no facilities, no real facilities, and we're trading on the concrete pitch.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but why do you think Scouts were not picking up players from Accra?
You're talking 80s, early 90s, 80s. You're talking 80s. Our teams was like 95% dark-skinned players. It was a shock. It was a shock for us and a shock for them. Remember, there's no kind of teams going into these big Sunday leagues like that. There's no teams like that. The only local rivals, what I knew from the era, give respect to Kofi, was Santley. Big up Don as well. Santley was the other team what came with us and started going to these big leagues. The Tandridge League and all that. We was in the Tandridge before Tandridge. I saw Tandridge League in Surrey came out of 3 other leagues, which was the Shirley District League, which we won, the South London League, which we won, and the Surrey League. And those 3 leagues amalgamated. That's why you got the Tangier League now. A lot of the guys who's into football now, they don't know none of that history. They don't know any of this. The Saturday County League was the association of combined youth clubs. It was all the local youth clubs, all the best players in the local was in a league called ACYC. And now that league's called the South London County Youth Football League. So we was in these leagues before these big leagues were even formed. Do you understand? And that's how we began to make our name. Then we started to get invited to professional clubs. We got invited to Brighton. We got invited to Fulham, a couple other clubs, and Wimbledon. We got invited to those clubs, which was a massive mistake for the scouts who invited us. We went to Fulham. We played at Fulham's actual ground, and we played at their training ground. I can't remember where it was. Was it Musgrave Park at the time? I can't remember. And we brought 3 teams to Breeze up to play their academy teams. Yeah, I don't know if Sean and Barry and Michael Morgan and them remember. And George Ender will remember as well. We absolutely destroyed all their teams. We destroyed all their academy teams. Absolutely destroyed them.
Who was the first player to actually turn pro from Accra?
Oh, Barry Hills. Barry Hills was.
And literally, what was the feeling like at Accra?
Yeah, left Accra at that time. He was playing for, I think, Monaco. He'd left and we went to Monaco. Big up Michael Watson and all the guys there. Too much names to mention. Everybody, David South, all the players there. Terry, everyone at Monaco, who I can remember. And he went to play with Monaco. But you could always see Barry was special anyway. Barry was special. Barry was so special from a child.
I'm going to go back and see if I can read through a lot of these messages. Someone has said, Sir Barry Jerome has come in, and Matt said, yes, Barry, big up.
Big up, man. Yes, Jerome. Yes, Matt.
Michael Lambert said, Coach Barry, what a man, legend in these streets.
Yeah, Mike.
Karan has said, Barry, you are the best. And,
Carrie, yeah, bless Carrie.
And
my great little winger.
And Evans come in and said, Derek laid down the foundations for so many boys that people really cannot fully appreciate, especially when you remember what 80s Brixton was like.
Yeah, we had the riots, police brutality. Come on, man.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm actually sorry. So I'm going to reverse all the way back. So the Brixton riots in the 80s. Like, where were you when that was happening?
I was in the middle. I lived on some Leighton Estate. Some Leighton Estate's in the middle of Brixton.
Were you like
we
outside?
Got terrorized. We got absolutely terrorized on our estate. Because after everybody left rioting and it calmed down, where do you think they came? The police would come on the estate and just beat us and abuse. My mum got abused so many times when the police was walking past. Just abuse, because what people didn't realize, a lot of the police wasn't from London, because they had to draft in a lot of police from out of London. And they were racist and evil as hell. And if they caught you, you'd get beaten. You'd get beaten, because remember, a lot of police got hurt really bad in those riots. See, we lived in it. When people came in and went back to their areas, we was in the middle of it. Some Leighton Estate is in the middle of Brixton. So when people do things, they don't understand. When you go, we're still there. This is where we live. So when you destroy everything and burn it, we lived it. We had to live in it. So when Brixton was burnt down, that's where we lived. So it's completely different experience for me, right? Because I lived there. And so you have the animosity with the police. Everybody's gone, but you're Brixton. You live in Brixton. So the police are looking at you, I'm going to do this one, I'm going to do that one.
And actually, I'm just saying this very respectfully. I think, and I'm literally just trying to word this.
You make sure you word it good.
You, out of a lot of people who are listening to the show, and again, like knowing you for a few years, you know, so literally our, you know, with the experience that you had in the 80s, especially in the Brixton riots, and literally you've kind of said, you know, how the kind of police abuse your family. But like knowing you now, you are, you know, you like still want to give so much to the community. That's a type of temperament that not a lot of people have, because literally a lot of people would literally hold that experience and literally pass their experiences down and their negativity to their kids and to their grandkids. Like, you know, what I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to break down
why?
why.
But to Breeze, if you keep anger, if I kept that anger, yeah, who's hurting? Think about it. If you keep anger within you, who's hurting? So why would I do that? Why am I keeping all that anger and that stress and that? Why am I keeping it? Who am I hurting? I remember my children know when I'm angry. They can feel it. The children know when you're upset, when you're not right. They can feel you. My children know me. They know when I'm upset. So why do I want that? When I come home, my home is very peaceful. I want that for my children. I don't keep anger. I've got to learn to let go. What I've got no control of, I let go. And everyone should do. Huh? You hate someone, the person doesn't even know you hate them. You're walking around all mad. He doesn't even know that you hate them. So what is the point? It doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of people need to think those sort of things. You need to use, that's why we have a brain to work things out. Does it make sense? I'm angry, the person doesn't know I'm angry with them. They get all their life. But I'm hurt. So I just let things go. I let things go. There's no point.
What was the reason you left Accra?
I left Accra, they're changing. My ideas with me and Derek's ideas are slightly different. You know, our ideas were slightly different. And the club was changing more into like a 9-to-5 club. Derek met someone, got involved, and they changed, and she wanted the club changed into more like a 9-to-5. Accra was a very much open door club, yeah, where people was open all the time. So a lot of the boys, what people know on the road, like Tyson, Yellow Baby, Half a Penny, all the notorious boys used to come there. But their behavior in the club was impeccable. Do you understand? On the road, there might have been the most terrorist young boys going. And other boys, there's more boys. Rest in peace, Yellow Baby and Half a Penny, and a lot of the boys who are really, I saw them, bro, I knew them. Some of them came to my house, eat out my mom's pot. I know these boys. But the life's different when you grow up. The environment's different. So that's why I don't like judging people, because I don't know what their life was and how their experience was. But that's what Accra was like, and it was changing. And plus, I wanted to have my own identity as a coach and do things the way I want to do it. And Derek had ways. He was very strong-minded with what things to do his way. So I said, you know what? You got two bulls here knocking heads. So respectfully, I came back as well in a year. I've got to do my own. If I'm going to do what I'm going to do, I've got to be on my own and do it the way I want to do it. So we separated that way. But we still were best of friends. So there was no animosity. We stayed friends. I don't think we could ever be like against each other anyway. Our two spirits were too locked in.
Did you feel that you had to leave to actually save the friendship?
No. Not had to leave to save the friendship. I had to leave to do what I want to do and the way I want to do things. He had his own, remember, it was his club. I'm not going to go into someone's club and say, you've got to do it this way and do it that. So I said, I'm going to go and do my own. So I needed to go and start to do my own thing. I said, I've been here 5-6 years. We've got a reputation all over and outside of London. We're producing professional footballers and academy players like it's, do you understand? Like so easily. I don't know if we must be blessed with it, because players were just coming and we're just developing and get better. So I said, let me go and do my thing. Let me just go and start my own and start building what I can, channeling the way I want to challenge the boys into professional football or into a better way where football can still earn them a living for their family, whilst they can still have a job and still play professional football. And that's what I still do today. You can still play a good level of football, earn very good money and work and bring on good money for your family.
And that's how Independent was conceived. And I'd love to know why you picked, or actually why you chose the name Independent.
Yeah. Isn't it self-explanatory? Yeah, I just said independent because I just said, come, let's just do things on our own. Let's just do it our way. Because remember, Derek Accra's not his name, you know. A lot of people don't know this. Accra's name is Sancho, Derek Sancho. And if Derek was still alive, God bless his soul, he'd be so proud of his little cousin played at Man United. Jordan Sancho is Derek Accra's blood. They're all family. His daughter goes with him to the games up to Manchester. A lot of people don't know that. We called it Accra after Accra, and Derek changed his name after Accra because he loved like the Ashanti, the culture of Ghana. Yeah, so the club was called Accra. Yeah, our badge was the Accra Golden Stool. At Accra, our badge was the Golden Stool. So we was because me and Derek was into a lot of history and stuff like that. We used to sit down and reason. So we chose like Accra, the Golden Stool, and this. Like Accra looked like an Ashanti. He's tall, and his kids are all tall and slim. So that's where the name came from, Accra. But Derek's real name is Derek Sancho, and his family, they're all related. You can see if you look at Sancho's family and you look at Derek, you can see where the blood is. They're all family.
So Robert's coming with a comment. Barry is a king amongst kings. I'm blessed to have inspiration being. To this day, Barry still inspires me. Thank you.
Oh, bless you. Hey, that's a great man, you know, great footballer, Robert Mocker. Remember that name, to breathe.
Robert Mocker. I'm
going to make you meet him as well. He's doing great things in the PT industry. And check out his channel.
So the first few seasons at Independent, and again, you know,
yeah, but you forgot, even at Accra, we weren't just Barry Hells. We had Jason Yule.
Yep.
And his mum was there, Jenny Yule, Craig Yule. His mum, Jason Yule's mum, ran a team called Merrow Rovers, which was birthed out of Accra. And they were more like East Street, over East Street. I'm just telling you some of the history. So Jason Yule played for us. And what people don't know, Jason was deaf in one ear. Jason Yule. And he went on to play in the Prem for Wimbledon, if you remember.
Yeah.
He played for Wimbledon, played all the massive games for Wimbledon. And we had another boy, I can't remember his name, but he went on to play for Newcastle United, a striker. Two brothers, one played for Newcastle and one played for someone else. And also, actually, we had, what's the boy's name? Can't remember his name. We had about 4 boys that came out and played really massive high levels. And that's back then, 80s, late 90s, we were doing that. Where boys are coming up. I remember what was shocking a lot of clubs, because they don't know these boys. Because a lot of the boys, because when you look at the system in football, a lot of the scouts and that, they look after names. And why we were so successful, which we still have now at Independent, when the scouts and clubs come, they don't know none of the boys, which makes it so good. You understand? And they see boys, no one knows playing at such a high level, they're in shock, they're in awe. So we still kept that going. That ethos still goes at the club now. Still goes. So we had all those players, Jason, all those players was there.
Sean's coming with a memory. Barry, remember when I used to lift up U and T?
Sean's a joking.
So
I love Sean.
But all right. So with the change from Accra to Independent,
yeah,
you must have had at least a few boys that literally wanted to actually come with you to Independent.
I had a team. I put it to the boys when I was leaving. I had a team, and I said to the team, I had a meeting. You can ask George. George was there. George Ender and his brother Mickey, and I held a meeting. Mocker was there, and I held a meeting. And I said, I'm leaving. And to the team, who wants to come with me can come because I'm going to start a new club. Who wants to stay at Accra, because they were registered to Accra, can stay. And I think
that must have been hard though, because you know, because literally you are poaching Accra's players, really. So I mean, like that, you know, that was a bold move.
Not really, because remember, it's me and Derek started the club together. Remember, we started together. Me, Derek, Roger, we started it all together. We didn't run it like a business to be like, this is yours and this. It wasn't run like that. It was more wholesome, more holistic. So when I left, we gave the players the choice if they wanted to come or did they want to come.
And the choice and approximately, what was the percentage that like wanted to come with you?
The whole team came.
Okay. So what did Derek do at the time then? Because
he's got other teams that he was dealing with. He did nothing. He just wished me all the best, and that was it. He wished me the best. We moved on. I put them into a league, and we've just cracked on from there. We cracked on from there. So George, Eben. Remember, some of these boys I've had from there were like, I can't remember what old Eben was. Eben must be 8 or 9. George and Mickey came in at 11, 10, Mocha. So I've had these boys over years, you understand? I've had these boys like Stephen. I was coaching them from they were very young and bringing them through each stage.
So, I mean, and again, this, you know, this kind of is probably true now, that players play for the coach or the manager than the club, because, you know, like you are a shining example how the players wanted to move because you was moving.
Yeah, but it all depends on the relationship you built, isn't it? Well, and what I always keep saying, it depends on that trust as well. If you're my manager and I ain't got trust in you, I'm not going to move with you. If you ain't been playing me or treating me right or dealing with me the way I think you should, I'm not going to move clubs with you. Are you? You're not going to stick with a manager where you don't trust. You don't believe he can take you where you want to go. You're not going to stick with that manager. So, like I keep saying, I built up the relationship. Remember, I ain't just got the relationship with the players. I got a relationship with the families as well. It's a very close relationship. Yeah. And with the players, because it's not just football. We talk about everything across the board. They know they can come to me with anything. And one thing, what a lot of people make mistake with young people and young players, you've got to give them the voice. You've got to show that you really believe and listen when they speak to you. A lot of coaches do not listen when players, especially young players, talk to them. They don't listen. They've already got to answer what they're going to say back already. Whilst I'll sit down and listen to what that boy's saying, because I want to know what is coming from that boy. Do you understand?
Totally.
That's how I get the best, because I listen. That's why you get a reaction. A lot of people get a reaction from young people because they're not listening to you. You're not hearing what I'm saying. You've got to hear what I'm saying.
Totally.
So it's a different sort of, understand? It's a different relationship.
So we like have the ex-Wolverhampton striker George Ender coming in and said, a true blessing.
Hold it to breathe. Hold it. My phone's gonna cut and come back. Hold it.
Jeez, this is why I love doing all of like the live stuff. At least Coach Barry's told me. So George is coming and said, a true blessing to me and my twin brother. Sir Barry's coaching is a blessing from God, which cannot be replicated. A humble but mighty man with a pure heart, South London's finest, King Barry. And that's from George and Mickey. Let's get, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I didn't see that. What happened now? Did you stick a pin? Right.
Yeah, so literally George, let me just say exactly what he said. He said, a true blessing to me and my twin brother Mickey. Sir Barry's coaching is a blessing from God, which cannot be replicated. A humble but mighty man with a pure heart, South London's finest, King Barry.
That's family there again. Remember, those guys used to come to my house. We used to sit down for hours just talking about football and having jokes and talking about life. I remember George and Mickey came to my house and a Doberman nearly I left and I saw a Doberman, no, a Rottweiler, chasing them home. I asked George about that incident when they left my house and my mate's Rottweiler got loose and started to chase them. It was hilarious. But yeah, two great players. Sorry for Mickey, was a fantastic player, but he had a bad knee injury. But George went on to have a fantastic professional career with Crystal Palace and Wolves, and was unlucky enough. He doesn't like talking about it, but Man United tried to sign him when he was at Crystal Palace. And the manager, the bald eagle manager, I can't remember his name. I think Lombardi, was he named Lombardo?
Lombardo. That was at Palace. Was it
yeah,
Palace?
When he was at Palace, I think it was Lombardo, George said, blocked his move to Man United when he was young.
Okay.
He would have had the chance to play with the great Scholes, better than Steven Gerrard.
Don't start, coach. Don't start.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But I mean, and how Independent have now produced, elite players, but like also very well-mannered young men. Like you must be so proud of like what you've achieved.
Yeah, it's great, but it's not ended. So I still carry on. I still stay humble and just keep moving on. I think I'm fortunate to have so much people bring such talented children to me. Sometimes I don't know how it's done because it just seems to just come through the door. Because remember, we're not advertising, we're not really on social media. A lot of the players come to Independent by word of mouth. Evans brought his son back. George Enders brought his son. People bring their grandchildren and say, Barry, coach, bring him into the club. And it just keeps working from there. We've had much more. We've had with Nyron Noseworthy. It was Roger Winters brought Nyron Noseworthy, who had a great career. Nyron Noseworthy wasn't nowhere near the most talented player in the squad I had, but he was the hardest working player, one of the hardest working players I've ever coached. His sheer determination made him get, and it was very funny because how we actually got to, because he started his career at Gillingham. And what happened, we went to play a tournament once again in Kent. And we got to the final. And we didn't realize we was under, what was we? Under 14s, I think it was under 14s. And we played, I put them in an under 15 tournament. And we were playing Gillingham's under 15s in the final. I didn't know, to breathe. And we lost the final 2-1. And then the Gillingham scout came over to me. I think he works at Palace now. He came over and he goes, you got a very good side there, blah. And he goes, they're brilliant. I goes, no, none of them are under 15s. They're all under 14s. And he couldn't believe the group of boys, Independent boys, were under 14s. And 8 of those boys got put into Gillingham, and Nyron was one of them. But we had another boy called Jason McDonald who got offered pro there, and he didn't take it. And he went to university instead. University. And the captain was one of the best players for Independent, best players, God rest his soul again. His name was Lee Casey. And he got scouted by West Ham by a scout called Paul Senior. And he was playing with Joe Cole and all those sort of players. Really sad because he passed away not long ago. All my respect due to the family. And his mother was one of the first secretaries for Independent. That's Jenny Casey, who I love the ground she walks on. She's just like, she's another one who's just my blood. But Lee was incredible. He got injured. That's the only reason why he didn't make pro. He had a tackle that took his foot off the ankle. Wow. So his career was over. To Breeze, he was a centre back. When the keeper, he was 10 years old. The keeper, this I knew he was special. The keeper took a goal kick. I thought he was going to header the ball. 10 years old, you know what he did?
He just controlled it.
He tested the ball down.
Tested the ball down
from a goal kick and passed it. And he was nutmegging strikers. So when West Ham saw him at 13, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. And that's what I'm trying to say. It was these sort of players who were just coming into the club. We just keep getting players of that ability walking through the door. And it's just to nurture the talent. Don't waste it, but nurture the talent. It's to nurture the talent. How can we get their full potential out of them in a holistic, natural way, instead of overcoaching or making them? Because I see a lot of players, they peak too early. A lot of young players peak too early, and people go, "Oh, he's going to be a pro." And I'm looking at him thinking, he's playing his best football right now. Do you understand? How do I regulate that? It's because he's going to peak too early. And sometimes we had another boy called Jamal who was at Tottenham, and I warned them. I said, Jamal went in at 7 years old, and they played him a year up all the time. And I said, stop playing him a year, 2 years up. And what happened? By the time he got to 15, 16, injury after injury after injury. And I said, all these developing years, the boy's been playing peak football for Spurs. He's always played a 1 year or 2 years up. And he was done. He went over, he played a little bit at Ajax, and then he's totally, Jamal's gone now. Jamal can't play, but outstanding. I could give you stories like that all day of boys we sent to professional club. Because we had a great relationship, independent of the great relationship with Tottenham back then. I sent lots of players to Spurs. That was like a club. I could just phone them and say, "Oh, I've got someone," and they would just take the boy without even coming to watch him play. They would just take it on my word. That's how, as we move on to, that's how Nathaniel Klein got into Tottenham. I first saw him.
And you know, I want to talk about Nathaniel Klein because, of course, you know, he like played for my beloved team, Liverpool, and of course he was at Palace for well, actually, can you he wasn't at Palace first because he was at Spurs. So I like love to kind of get that story about Nathaniel.
Well, the story was Nathaniel was playing for Accra. He was playing for Accra, and Derek rang me and goes, "Barry, I think I got someone a bit special here. Come and have a look at him. Come and see what you think." And he was playing on Tooting Common, so I went to Tooting Common, and I was watching him, and I go, "Jesus, this boy is good. He's running full pace, the ball like it's stuck to his foot." And then when he's lost the ball, because he was like the outstanding player of the team, he's lost the ball, and it's the same energy he's running forward, he's running back. I go, "Jesus, you don't really see this in young players. Usually he can dribble forward, he can go back." Because he was a winger. He started off as a winger.
Yeah.
So I got to see him again if he puts the same energy, the same commitment. Watched him again. Basics, could defend, could attack, score goals, cross the ball. I goes, "Yeah, he's good." So I said, I went one more time and watched him. And I spoke to his mum and goes, "Yeah, I've watched him 3 times. I think he's good enough to play for Spurs." So I can't remember my link in Spurs. He was head of the youth. So I phoned Spurs and said, "Listen, I've got someone I think is really special. He's good enough for that level." So Spurs took him. So he was at Spurs, sent him there at 10. He was there from 10 or 11. He was there till he was 14. And every year they give the players a report. So his mum rang me and goes, "Barry, come." So I went round his house and read the report from Spurs. And it wasn't that glowing, and they said he's weak at this, he's weak at heading, he's weak at that. So what I do when I send boys into clubs, I always have this philosophy. I goes, because Spurs is the one, Spurs changing from a right winger to a right back. He learned that at Spurs, they taught him right back. And then he went, so that when any boys go to a club, I go, when you go to a professional club or any club you go to, if you're a right back, centre mid or centre forward, always look at who your opposition is. So I said, "How much boys at Spurs are ahead of you? How much competition?" He goes, "There's 5 or 6 boys." I goes, "You know what, Mum? Nathaniel, they're all quality players. I think you should go to another club. Let's change our strategy and go to another club where you're more in the top 3 of the players who are there." So I phoned, once again, I can't remember who I phoned at Palace, and got him in straight away. Got him in at Palace straight away. Had his trial, and they signed him. So there's 3 or 4. So his journey was from 14, had a good foundation with the Tottenham training, went to Palace, they loved him, good, brilliant defender, good for up and down, went there. So he's there, then he was the last one to offer a scholar at 16. So we're worried, we're waiting, are they going to offer him the scholar? His mum's shaking and panicked. So he's the last player to offer the scholar. But at Palace now, when he got to the scholar stage, 16 to 18, there's 3 younger players, there's 3 scholar players ahead of him. So his mum saying, "Barry, he's always on the bench." So I said, "Chap, I'm coming with you. Let me come there and watch. I'm coming." So I've gone there and looked at these players. I'm meant to be ahead of them. I goes, "You know what? You're better than them. You're listening to what they're saying." So I had to start to get him. See, it's all mental. So I had to get into his head that you are better than them. I goes, "You're better than them boys there. You are better than them." And he started to get past, train. I goes, "Nathaniel, you're the best young defender there." And let me skip, because I can't tell the whole journey, it take me forever. So he's playing well. He's regular now in the scholar team, 18s, and the number one defender is a Butterfield, right back for the first team at Palace. So I think God works in a funny way. Butterfield got injured, and the other two pro defenders got injured. So who's left? 3 defenders, first team defenders got injured.
Wow.
Ugly Nathaniel's left. It's a televised game on a Friday night at Palace. The manager was Neil Warnock. So Neil Warnock rings him and says, "You're in, you're starting tomorrow." So at 17, he's starting for Palace first team. And what does he do? He gets man of the match on the televised game. And the rest becomes like, his career starts to go from there. Then I got to go in and meet Warnock, and Warnock wants to give him a new contract. So I said to Warnock, "It's not about the money." I said, "Just guarantee me that you'll play him, because the games will give him the experience he needs. It ain't about the money at 17. Just give him that experience as play." And that's how me and Warnock became friends till today. Because I said to him, "It's not about, I just want this boy to play. It ain't about the money. Just let him play." And he played 100 and something games at Palace, and then moved on to Southampton.
Southampton. Southampton.
Yeah, moved on to Southampton, where I met one of the most amazing managers. I think it was, can't remember, it's Pearson or something like that was there. And the chairman, when I went in with Nathaniel to meet Southampton, the chairman or the director, whatever he was, says, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Doesn't know me from Adam. Goes, "Who are you? What are you doing here?"
Wow. So
I just looked at him, and then Pearson stepped in, very rude man. But when we went to Southampton, is where Southampton, I said, this was a good club for any footballer, because what they had there was they had a holistic approach. Like they had a sleep diary. Remember I told you?
Yeah.
Southampton had a sleep diary, food that they had to keep sleep, food diary, just water, done yoga, everything you could think of, Pilates. It was strictly holistic. That's why Southampton were producing so many young players, because the training was based on how you ate and how you sleep and how you looked after your body. So that's why Southampton had such a great academy, because everything was based and everything was meticulously done that way, where they've done, this is what you ate, this way, can't eat that, your body type is this. So all the players were flying there, and Nathaniel just flew it there. And then Liverpool came in for him. But the joke is, Liverpool came in for him, which he wanted to go, and then we had a late, Tottenham came in for him right at the death.
Wow. So
we had a secret meeting with Tottenham in a restaurant, and they filled us up with expensive food and offered more money.
Wow.
Tottenham offered more money than Liverpool, but it's heartless. Everybody loves Liverpool in the history and everything. So it ended up. That's a massive story.
Massive story.
There's much more to it, but I'm sure
yeah, I can imagine.
I've got loads of stories of professional boys from here going into football in that way.
Wow. And again, I don't want to digress too much, because again, I've got so many comments and again, so many questions. But like, the players trust you in terms of, like in terms of their like next moves, either at non-league, at the elite level, and they like trust you in terms of looking at their contracts, seeing like the win bonuses.
Not really. I'm not the Brees. I'm not their agent. I just look after them. We just have conversations like we're having now, and what do you think is best for your career? And even when you're going to a club, even if it's professional, you still got to look, does this, whatever things, I'm not going to send a player to a club and it doesn't suit the style of football. Why am I going to, this guy's a footballer and I'm sending to a club that just kicks the ball 60 yards up the pitch? Why am I sending a player there? But some people send boys just to say, oh, I'm in an academy. But the academy style of football has to suit that player. So you've got to pick and match it. And then you've got to look at what's the players in your position where you play. So all those have to come into consideration. It's not just about going into a football club. It's not just about going into a club. You've got to look at that. Does this manager suit you? Is it your style of manager? Is it your style of play? That's why you see a lot of big players turn down certain clubs. I'm not going there. I don't like the way they play. I don't like the way the manager coaches. You understand? Or they've got this midfielder, that midfielder, and that midfielder. How am I going to get in?
Wow.
I'm just going to be a squad player. I don't want to be a squad player. So those, once again, dynamics come into whoever these conversations. It's not just about the money. Some players might be just about the money. I'm going there, I'm going to get more money, but I'm not going to play. Do you want to play football, or are you just going to make great money? It's a balance you have to sort out with you and your family. So that's a lot of conversations like that.
Yeah, that's, you know, I mean, that's a video in its entirety. We've had so many messages. I'm gonna literally try and get through as many as I possibly can. MCM Barry was a much more than a football manager. He was an example of how to carry yourself in life. Me and my twin George. Oh, so this is
Mickey. Oh yeah, great.
Me and my brother George had our footballing minds opened up after playing for Barry. We have George Lister saying, I've just got in. Big up to coach. I will catch up on the replay. And
ask George when he's coming over. When is he coming back?
You know what, George is probably on the plane right now as we speak.
George is the journeyman.
Yeah, he is. MCN's kind of coming again. Barry is the Cruyff of youth football.
I wish I was.
He is a humble giant, and she won the FA World Cup. I'll show you. Wake up to his talents. England will win the World Cup. Me and George remember the Rockweiler story.
I told you.
Good vibes. And then literally John has come and said Barry is honestly a great guy. And then a countess says Coach Barry again. Legend Barry.
JJ, bless up, man.
You know, and then literally Michael's come and said, my son's development is in great hands. Salute Coach Barry Proper. Legend.
No, to breathe. Stop there. To breathe.
First and foremost, legend. Listen,
to breathe. You see, Mikey. Tell Mikey Mikey plays for Ellen. His son plays for Independent.
You know what?
I'm not happy with Lloyd. I'm gonna have a chat with Lloydie about him.
So literally, we had a friendly. This is a few weeks ago, and I really think Mikey scored the best goal out of all of LSU goals, and it hurt because how he slapped it hurt me, and I looked at him with so much disgust, but how he slapped that goal, man, I'm like, you know what, the guy still got it, man. So shout out, big shout. And before we move on, I've literally got a video which I want to play to everyone, and I want you to. And again, I'm really conscious of time. So again, thank you guys for everyone that's tuning in. I haven't forgotten the questions from Owen and Jose, but there's a quick video that I just want you guys just to quickly watch.
We've got a lot of boys who under 50, they look very, very strong in their own age. But when you put them up a year, there's a big difference. Taylor here, for instance, he's a right back. We've played him left back for 2 years, and he's come on so much. At first he said, I can't play left. I said, just learn, just use the left foot, learn positioning, comfortable striking the ball. It's all in the head, using the opposite foot. And now he's become accomplished left back. He can play centre back, and right back, obviously he can play right back. But he's very good, he's come a long way. I don't like this, I can't, no, you can't. You can. It can be done. So now he believes in himself, and he's become a top player in the whole league in that position. One of the best left backs in the whole league. But I don't just call him my left back, my centre back, and my right back.
Yeah, and again, I literally had the privilege of kind of coming down and actually watching.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
you and like Frank actually kind of do your coaching. And but again, it's literally, I think that the biggest thing I kind of caught from that video was, I don't like the word can't. Like, you can do anything that you want to do if you just put your mind to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to instill that into our young people, man. They can be anything they want to be. And I'm saying that from my heart. This is not something I just say. People just say cliches. I actually do it. I live by them sort of things. I want young people to try and be anything they believe they want to be. And they can. Nothing here to stop you. Nothing. Most of the time, our fears don't exist. We put the fears there ourselves. Most things what you're scared of doesn't really exist. If it's in your head. So obstacles are there to be broken down. So let's break them down together. Yeah.
So let's talk about the current crop at Independent. You have one night player that's at Middlesbrough. Could you? Oh,
that's Pharrell. That's Pharrell Willis.
Yeah,
that's Pharrell Willis.
I mean,
Pharrell was at a young boy with another young lad called Troy. We had on the show. Remember Troy?
Yes, I remember.
They
Troy.
both played for Fulham, and Troy was with us when he was about 6 years old. Pharrell was at Fulham when he was about 8, and then he got released at 13, which completely his football career just died. You know, you're at a club for like 5-6 years, and then he died. Troy got let, and it was bad. So Pharrell had to fight his way. But the problem when I got Pharrell couldn't play grassroots football. He's a Cat 1 academy player, but he couldn't play grassroots. He struggled with the physicality, the speed. He's getting kicked over, he's shouting out the ref. The rest just saying play on. He couldn't get his head around it. His dad's getting angry, get stronger. And I said to Dad, it takes time. He's never played grassroots. He's always played in an academy environment. So it's to reshape how we played football, which I always talk about is transitions in football. Remember, I always talk about that. At different ages, there's transitions in football. So he was going through a transition. He was going from nice, comfortable academy football back to grassroots South London football. Some of the toughest football you're going to play. I remember all our teams playing the top divisions. So he took him a good 8 months to get used to playing grassroots at that level, that speed, that physicality, even though he was a fantastic footballer. So he's just nurturing, growing, and loads. And he might be watching now, because I told him to watch. He could be well watching now. And we had conversations up to the other day. We still speak all the time, talking about getting his confidence, getting preparing himself for the first team. At the moment, he's been like the #1 performer for the 21s. So he's on the verge of going in the first team. So it's that transition. Are you ready to transition into that football? So it's proud seeing his journey. It's been a really tough journey because he went trials all over the country. I said, stop doing that. Stop going on all these trials. Focus on your football. Get back to where you were. And then you go when you're ready. Preparation is the key. Stop trialing. Get yourself prepared properly. And it ain't just physically dribbling around cones and strength in the gym. It's up here. Get your head ready. Get your head right. And then after that, we travelled up and down. We went to the Middlesbrough. We met a guy called Shane from George, and he brought down the Middlesbrough scout to watch Independent. Where was it? I can't remember where it was. I think it was at Barnell's. We played against Barnell's. And after 10 minutes, the main scout at Middlesbrough picked him out. He said, I like that boy, I like that number 10. I really do like him. And then he picked out George's son, Max Ender, another terrific player. And then in the holidays, they went up to, just cut them back again. In the holidays, Pharrell and Max went up to Middlesbrough to do training. George will correct me if I'm wrong. So Max and Pharrell goes to Middlesbrough and they're training. And then they get put into a game against Everton, your rivals. They played Everton, so they're still not signed. They're trialists playing for Middlesbrough. They've gone to play Everton youth, Everton 16s against Middlesbrough 16s. And they've ripped, Max and Pharrell's ripped Everton to shreds. ripped them to shreds. I think Max scored 2 and Froze got all the assists. So what they've done, they've dragged them off, and they've had to hide them. Straight away, everybody's talking about these two. No one knows. So they've dragged them and benched them and hid them and put them on the bench. And then both of them gets offered to play. That's cutting a very long story once again.
Yeah.
I'm compressing everything because I can't go through every stage of it. Because I've got so many stories like that with players. I've also got to pick up Daniel Carr, his mum, and Coach Carr. Daniel Carr left us, played semi-pro, went on to be a pro at Huddersfield. Played for Huddersfield in the Championship, played in Ireland, went to Cyprus and Greece, played in the Europa Cup. He's gone back to Ireland at the moment now. But he was my captain, he's my godson, and he went on to have a great career in football. And he was another independent captain of another age group, which I've compressed again. But Betty and Junior, blessed to them, Daniel, everyone, the family, all my love goes out to them. But he's another player what came through the independent system. And you've also got now at Southampton, you've got Joe Aribo, who plays for your. I don't know if you support Nigeria or England. Who you support? No, I'm not even laughing. Both. He always come. Anyway, Joe Aribo came through a guy called Eddie, who bought about 4 young players. So Joe was playing for us till he was 8. At 8 years old, he was playing for. He was playing with my good friend and who I do work with now is Curtis. So he played with Curtis, who's now an agent. Joe came at 8. From 8 years old, you could already see Joe Aribo's talent. Tall, he was tall, slim, but with exceptional feet. And one thing you find when the player's going to go far, you see early, is game understanding. At that early age, he understood. He had great feet and talent, but he still knew when to pass, when to release, when to dribble. And that's what skill is understanding. Doing the basics well. Yeah? That's all skill is. And a lot of people do not master the basics and go on to skill. You haven't mastered the basics of football. You haven't still ain't got game understanding. So Joe had that. And then Joe played for us from 8 up to 15. And then went to Tooting Mitchell, and I think he went to Staines. He done a little bit of Kinetic, and then he went to Charlton. And then from Charlton, he got bought by Glasgow Rangers. And then from Glasgow Rangers, he's come back down into England in the Premiership with Southampton. But he was never. Him and there's quite a few in that team what should have been professional footballers and not. But I can keep going because there's so many points. You understand?
Yes.
But we haven't got time to keep going and tell the whole story of all these players, what coach pushed them through into professional clubs, boys who did make them. I'm just happy a lot of boys are still played conference. I can't forget Dexley and Derris. They grew up around the corner from me. They was at Chelsea. Derris was at 2 brothers at clubs. Big up Derek and Dexley. And I'm forgetting all your family. They're from Subley. They lived on the corner where I lived. And they went on to have great careers in football. So there's just so much to mention. I don't think a lot of people realise how much professional footballers we've pushed out of a small club with no funding or nothing. I don't think people really realise.
Amazing. So let's kind of go into like the questions that people have put into the chat box. So Jose has come in and said, what is your proudest moment as a coach? Your biggest high that you really look back on with pride?
I just think I'm still going forward. I haven't really looked back. Oops. Sorry. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah.
Sorry to be, it froze there, sorry. To Jose, I'm always still looking forward. I'm proud of every moment of independence and where we are today. But all the new crop of players are so fantastic. And the parents, the future is just looking great again. It's looking so well, and I've got a fantastic group of people around me what inspired me when many times I thought I'll just stop doing this football. I'm tired of it now. I'm old. I've got my free bus pass now. Let me rest. Do you know what I mean? But I've got people like Selena, great mum, Jason. I've got Frank. I've got George now. Yeah, who will support me. I've got my nephew Nathan. I've got Evan. I've got people who's come back and they're around me. And those are the things that keep me going. Do you understand? Seeing people still showing me the love. I've got so much love. What people show me. Every time I think that's enough. You've been in it for over 30 years. I just keep going and going. And I see other bright coaches going up. Big up to Michael, big up to Trevor, big up to NASA, big up to Sandy and them guys what still, all the youth clubs what are pushing. Big up to Trevor because I've seen where Trevor started from and where he is now. I've got so much respect for Trevor and me and Trevor talk as well. We've got a lot. But so much. Big up Carl, my advisor. But Josie, yeah, I just keep going, Josie, because the main thing for me, I'm proud, but I still say I'm always learning, always learning. And the saying is, you never lose, you learn. You never lose, you learn. That's the saying. So there's so much thing. All of these people, like you see them showing me love on the texts, and it's because the love is there. We're just together. It's been like that all the way through with me. I just keep myself very transparent with people.
And another question from Jose as well.
Tabrice, I can't hear you for some reason.
Can you hear me? No? Yeah? No?
I'll go to Tabrice. I'm using the other one. Speak to him. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
No? I'll go to Tabrice. I'm using the other one. Speak to him. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead. I'll go to Tabrice. I'm using the other one. Speak to him.
There's an echo.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yes, I can. Good.
We now have an echo now.
Can you hear me? Good. Oh,
yeah, Coach. We now have an echo. Oh, Coach has gone off again. Let me put this back on. Again, this is what I love about doing like live shows. So let's just wait for that coach to come on. Again, like what a story so far, man. It's just amazing. Let's see if Coach, can you hear me?
I'm back.
You're back. So Jose's got another question. Have you got any recommendations from your experiences on what players can do if they experience those situations with politics to improve or go through their situation?
Have you any recommendations?
So literally, I think this was when like you was talking about the politics regarding non-league clubs in terms of when like the manager or the coach didn't pick you, and there were like other people that were like like the kind of manager's sons and cousins. Like what
every situation is different. You've got to weigh it up. Is it worth me staying, or is it worth me going? Or is that manager going to go before me because he hasn't got a clue? Sometimes you can see a manager ain't got a clue. You know he's going to get sacked. He's going to be gone. So it's a very fine decision to make. Do I stay? Do I go through this? Will he eventually pick me? Or do you think there's no way this guy is going to pick me? It's a very delicate situation with when you're a player and management. Because sometimes you think the manager doesn't like you, you think he doesn't trust you, and then the next minute you could be back in the team and you play regular. So it's very fine. And there's instances where I'm not going to play. Hey, this guy is not going to. He doesn't even recognize me. I'm not going to play at all. You see it in professional football when players are out, and then all of a sudden another manager comes or that manager flings him back in and he's back in. So it's very delicate. What do I stay or do I go? It's a very delicate situation to do when you're at a club.
Owen has come in with his question. Much love to like Owen. Again, he's
big up Owen. Did he play?
I think he played yesterday. We were kind of battering him in the group. So let's again big shout out to Owen. Loving this. Get to know more about Coach and to see Tabrice got stumped for words.
Always on you, Tabrice.
I know. You always be so. A question from Owen: what's the most important attribute any player needs to have to like stand a chance of going far in the game?
I think the most A lot of the players I've coached who have gone all the way, they totally believe that they are the best of what they do. They'll challenge anyone. They think I'm good enough to be there. You've got to believe you have the right to be there. I can play with the best. And a lot of good players don't have that. Some players just don't have that. They're in awe. They go into those environments and they seem to be in awe of them. But you've got to believe in you. You've really got to be focused and have that mental strength within you. A lot of football ain't even about that. A lot of great players, it's their mental strength what takes them through. Like I said, Naran wasn't the greatest player, but he believed he was the best and strongest midfield player. He would run box to box, box to box, box to box, and dominate way better players. He would just dominate players. But he wasn't the greatest footballer. But he would dominate any player he came up against. And look, he went all the way to the top. It's so much about the mental strength and the belief in oneself and what you do and looking after yourself. Because the main thing when I coach main players, I don't move far into all this fancy. I want them to learn the basics and game understanding. And then we move on. Basics, game understanding, then we move on. And mental strength. You can do all that fancy stuff and whatever you want to do. But if you ain't got those things solid, for me, you're not going to get to the top. Not going to get to the top. And there's many of you vets what still can't do the basics. To be straight.
Yeah. Faith has asked a question: how does Coach Barry switch off or re-energize? That's a good question, actually, because again, you live and breathe this.
No, my daughters put me in place. My daughters don't like football. So when I go home, there's not much football talking at all. Not much talking about football at all. I really have to switch on. And they like my attention. Because all the way through the years growing up, I've always been doing football and back and forth. So my daughters, and they kind of, as you know, my daughters are academic and speak several languages and stuff like that. And one of them's she's just done a degree in chemistry and she's going on to her master's. So sometimes she needs me there because I don't know nothing about chemistry, but she needs me there as support, to give her a hug when she needs a hug, sit down, watch a movie with her. My other daughter's in her last year of accountancy. She just came in not long ago and said, Daddy, give me a hug. You know what I mean? So it's like, we'll just want your attention. So sometimes I've just got to cut everything. Let's watch a movie and sit down and watch a movie. Like I said to you, Tabri, she's doing all this. Family's important, so share that time. So it's a great question, but yeah, I've got daughters what control me.
And
I've got Faith, I've got the women. Like I said, women would rule the world soon. They're going to take over.
Definitely, 100%. And it's kind of really important because, of course, sometimes when you're so focused on like one like goal, and then like you have kids or literally, or you get married or like you move house, the like dynamics of your journey changes. I mean, how like did the dynamic change when your firstborn came into the world?
It did. I stopped for a while. I had a break. I took a break from football for a couple of years. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't do anything. I stopped. I stopped. I stopped for like 2 or 3 years. I wasn't coaching at all. Independent, completely stopped. And then I went back into it because it was my first child. And I thought, wow, I was blown away to pieces. It was my first child. And I said, wow, I was just there all the time. All the time. So that was my first major gap in coaching and playing football. This was when my first child was born. And plus, she was born premature.
Okay.
So that was a lot. She was born a bag of sugar. So I spent we was in hospital for 4 months every day.
So again, that just kind of puts life into perspective. And like, sometimes you think that football or something else is so important, but when you see someone that kind of, it's that unconditional love, isn't it? You know, it's like, you know, I want to protect this small human being with all of my might and all of my heart, and there's nothing that's gonna stop me doing that. And it just changes your kind of perspective of life.
Yeah. True.
So 7 Sobers is coming and said, bless the Barry.
Marlon. Can't forget Marlon and Mum. Richard, big up Richard, all the Sobers, Richard, everyone. That's Marlon, great footballer.
Okay, brilliant. And then Baza is the best mentor. God bless him. Maxim, and then of course Owen has come in again.
Oh, Max, big up Max. Carpet FC, that is. Max.
And then, you know, and of course
Max and his dad Mikey. Yeah.
With the,
bless Owen.
Yeah. So so I mean, you know, I mean, coach, I mean, now you've expanded independent now, so there's a vets team. What else for you personally? And
well, I haven't even said thank you to the vets. Like you know, Raymond was my neighbor. You do know that, don't you?
No.
Yeah, me and Raymond lived neighbors. Raymond was my neighbor. Our families was like joint. Raymond was my neighbor when I moved to Streatham. Me and Raymond were neighbors. We live opposite each other. So we grew up. I've known Raymond from he's a very young man. So it's a pleasure to have Raymond managing. He managed a youth team first, and now he's experienced in managing. He's managing the men's team. And I'm so proud of that, because there's a lot of people in there. I got Mad Marlon, remember Marlon played with Georgia, do you remember?
I didn't
Shugsy, I know all the Shugsy's family. Shugsy's my family, Shugsy's my blood. He's another one, come to my house. I've been to his house, his mum's house. We're very, very close. So a lot of the people I've got very, very close relationships with. So we grew up. So age is something we just pushed out there. It's something we've all grown up. It's very organic. Remember, Nino's my nephew. You know that. Yeah, at least you know that. I'm sure you know that. Yeah. And Raymond's my neighbor. Shugsy, I grew up with. Shugsy was he was in the first independent team. He could tell you a whole history about independent, Shugsy, because he was in the first independent team. Black Clock, big up Black Clock. Gary, everyone there. A lot of the boys I've brought over, like Nathan and people like that, Carly, because I used to run a Monday night football thing with a lot of those guys, semi-pros, some pros used to come down, some grassroots used to play with Monday. So as much as them as I can, I'm trying to bring them into our vets team. So I love all the vets. I've never coached a men's team in my life, so I don't have to have too much opinion on it, because I've never done it. I've never coached a men's team in my life.
That's fair enough.
And I don't think I will.
No, that's fair enough.
Too much politics in that for me. Sorry.
And Robert's kind of come in with a question. With the amount of time that you spend developing young players, do you have time to develop budding coaches with your wealth of knowledge?
Yeah, I've tried to, but sometimes I get caught up so much. So most of the times I tell coaches just to come and watch. Just come and watch what I'm doing. Just to come and watch sessions, what I do. I've got one tomorrow where a coach is coming to watch a session what I'm doing with some very talented boys tomorrow. So I do try to get young coaches to come and watch and see exactly what I do and try to develop. But I like people to develop their own skill as well. If you know, even if I'm doing drills or we're talking or coaching, is to develop the way which you can put it across your way, even if you have to tweak it. Because I've done it all my life, watching videos. Like I said, I've watched a lot of the Ajax stuff because I love the way Ajax coach a lot. I watch a lot of theirs and listen to a lot of their coaches' podcasts just to see the way they deal with people and the mentality of how they deal with players. And it's very, very interesting. I see why. And a lot of what Ajax do, why they have so much success, because they never branch off from the basic things of football. They never branch off far from there. So that's what I really try to instill in players, coaches, everyone. Always master those basic things. Because you know, most Ajax players are two-footed and they've all got a great football brain. That's why I always push and a very strong mentality.
So what is next for yourself? What's
Retirement.
Retirement? Really? That's not happening.
It is. I'm been contemplating just sitting back in a few years' time and just watching. I'll be there, but I'm just sitting back and watching. I'm watching. I told you that freedom pass. Sitting back. It's been a long journey. It's been a very long journey. Very long journey I've had. Over 30 years doing it, and a lot of people still don't even know. I've just told you bits and pieces what I've done. There's still so much more with players and clubs and stuff what I've done. So it's too much to tell in one short segment. But at least people's got a better idea of what I've done and my journey going across, and all the wonderful people I've met who I've become friends and very close friends with and are dear to me. I can't forget Andrew put a lot. Can't forget Sam Ward, who's put in so much as well. All of those people. Can't forget Susie, who's always there by my side. Like I said, all these people who's helped the club and got the club where it is and are still helping. I'll always be humble and appreciate those people's help me. So it's not just about Barry Gordon or Barry Morris, whatever name you know me by. It's about everybody around me who's got me to where I am.
Coach, I just want to say again, thank you for like supporting not only like the channel. You know, I want to put like the channel aside, I like remember when we had our first conversation, and our first conversation lasted about 2 hours. It was about a 2-hour conversation, and like there was no ego. You were literally asking me what like you could do for me. Like you was literally just saying like, Tabrice, like what is it that I can do for you? Like who is it that you need to speak to? And like the wealth of knowledge and experience and the literally how you were just so open, like straight off. I think like even like this show now, this like 2 and a bit hour show just doesn't do it justice. Even
you said Tabrice, you told me 45 minutes.
I did say 45. I did say 45 minutes. I did say 45 minutes, but it's it's.
I'm not going to even mention everyone. There's so much people I've got to mention, and I do apologize if I haven't mentioned, because there's so much people I've got to mention who help, and just I can see they're really there for me. There's so much people. It's just too much. There's so much people. So if I haven't mentioned you, you're still there for me, and I love all of them, and they know that I'm there for them.
Coach, honestly, thank you. Thank you so
much.
Thank
you, Tabrice. Good show, good chat. We'll do another one sometime. We could do one with some of the players. They remember much more than I remember, because it's been so long. They remember more details. So you could do some with some of the players if you want, all together. They'll remember things what I can't remember, because there's so much stuff what I can't remember.
And Coach, I just want to say to you, if there's anything that I can do personally.
Oh yeah, Tabrice, thank you for the what's it called, defibrillator. Thank you for putting in touch with that. But once again, we lost yesterday, but we'll be back. What was the score, Tabrice? So 3-1.
3-1. Oh, 4-1. 4-1.
4-1. Okay. 4-1.
But I mean, again, it's like still an early season for like independent.
Yeah, we're building. We'll be there. We'll be there. We're not talking. We're keeping quiet. We're keeping very quiet, and we'll be there. My faith is in with my management, my Raymond, my club, and Gary. Don't worry. We'll be there. We've got a good group of players there. I can see something happening. We've got a good future coming there.
Coach, thank you. Thank you so much for like spending this like 2
hours. Oh, thank you, Tabrice. Good chat. We spoke about a lot of things. Once again, apologize if I didn't mention you and all the people, but next time we'll have another gen and you'll be mentioned. All right. Can I tune off now? Can I tune off?
No. Like you got to hold on. Mikey said, sorry, Coach, about yesterday. I wonder if Mikey scored. Because because yeah,
I'm not, Mikey knows I'm not accepting his apology. He knows that already. He can say sorry and I'm not accepting it. And his son scored 2 for Independent yesterday. 2 good goals. Little Callum got a great goal as well. All of them played well. My little under 11s had a great game. Fantastic, intense game yesterday. So big up all of them. Zayn, Samantha, Maris, who else was there? New boy Alex, new boy Edward, Dad Tony, Dad Beak, all of them. It was a great day. Thank you to Moses and his dad Jay. Thank you for Omar for giving me a lift, picking me up. Thank you to Ramsey. Everyone. It was we had a great day yesterday. And on the 15th had a great win as well yesterday. They played with 9 men, 2-0 down and came back and won 5-3. Good job from Frank and George. Good coaching.
That's amazing.
So we had a good day yesterday. It was just to get a good. We just needed that result from the vets, but I know that will come back again. We'll get a good result there. So I'll hold on. You finish off the brief.
Thank you so much to you, Coach, and also thank you to everyone that's tuned in and literally put in, amazing comments and questions. We will be back next week, Sunday, 8 o'clock. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. See you guys next week.